The dream of a verse is to be heard over the notes, over the keys, even over the beats. To be recognized as the heart of the sound you've embraced with your ears. To hear more than a melody. To hear the meaning of the commentary voiced in rhyme, just a verse. In other words, I don't want you to be so infatuated with me that that's all you come to see, the image of me, the physicality of me. I want you to see me in my poetry, the flow in me, envision me as just a verse. Lines of thoughts and dreams resting on my mind, words trying to find a home in your heart, lyrics that spark different levels of intelligence within you, i.e., I want to make you think, become a part of me, feel what I feel. My pain, my joy, my disappointments, my love, my anger towards the one below, my gratitude to the one above. Everything that lives in me is in my verse, in me. See me through me, the unity within me, between me and my visual being and my lyrical beginnings. Who is me? Just a verse.
What it do, beautiful people, my melanated kings and queens. Welcome to It's Just the Conversations. I am your host, Just a Verse. Let's converse.
Yeah, I love it when you talk, baby. You're so smooth, like butter, cocoa. This is just a conversation. Tell me about it through my word and observation. That's all enough to be patient. But we gon' take it, we gon' not be complacent. We can run a race, start spotting history and all our innovation. We just having conversation. Tell me about it through my word and observation. Yeah.
What it do, beautiful people, my melanated kings and queens. Just a Verse is here. No one else, just me. But we do have some guests because what we're going to be doing is talking about my favorite set of episodes. I know every week is my favorite, but this time, like, I mean it. Like, the month of March, we talked about Black love. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because these days we're like oversaturated with toxic relationships. Toxic relationships seem to be goals in 2023. And I just wanted to kind of remind everyone that there's more. There are options out here. Doesn't have to just be toxic. But yeah, so we had a few guests on during the month of March, and they all had very interesting things to say. And what I liked most about it was that different ages, different beliefs, different just walks of life, right? All melanated kings and queens, you know how I do. But they were all different in, just their ages, their careers, their cultures, it's just all over the board. And there were some things that just remained common and true throughout this whole thing. And I hope that you see it. If you didn't get a chance to watch, you can go to melanatedverses.com at any time and pull up the whole thing. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to start this out with Kiki and Makai. For those of you who don't know, Makai is my son. He's 23 years old. Kiki is his girlfriend. She's 22 years old. They've been together for about 4 years now. And I was talking to them, we were all talking to them about, like, they're a good looking couple. They both got hella swag. They both just super cool. They both level heads, all of that good stuff. So I know temptations are out here. And we see grown ass men that just don't know how to behave themselves. We see grown ass women that don't know how to behave themselves. But for somehow they are the exception and not the rule. They need to be the rule. So I asked them, like, how do they deal with their friends or people that's around them that may try to tempt them with other people? Like, you're young, do your thing. And let's go ahead and hear what they had to say on this. Let's see if I could do this because, I ain't never had to do this by myself. My daddy used to get this. But here I go. Anyway, so y'all are looked at a certain way. Y'all step out. Y'all always look good when you step out. Like y'all be coordinating and stuff and all of that good stuff. How do you deal with that pressure of the outside influence of people your age? I'm sure maybe it's not your inner circle, but Makai, I know there's dudes out there like you don't want to get in on these hoes. Like they out here, like it's like a whole oasis out in Atlanta.
Oasis.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then for you, Kiki, with you being as pretty as are, do any of your friends ever be like, bro, you don't like Makai don't even do like any crunches. Come on, bro. I know he's not fat, but
yeah.
So you don't ever how y'all feel about that type of outside pressure?
Mm-hmm. I know the niggas be stepping to you.
I know they be stepping to you.
They always gonna step to you, especially at the gas station because you enjoy
at the QT. We already know, especially on time. Anyway,
I don't. Wait, what was the question? I'm sorry.
So for you, well, for both of you dealing with your girlfriends or boyfriend, whatever, them tempting you with other, like y'all are young. I'm sure you've heard y'all are young. Y'all sure y'all want to just be locked in with one person at this age? Like, how do you deal with that type of stuff?
For me, I have boundaries. Like you say it once and then I kind of cut it off after that. Like it's not happening. I don't want to be single. I'm in a relationship. So don't bring that to me. I will help you get somebody. We can go out and I'll wingman for you, but don't bring anybody to me. If anybody come up to me, first thing I say is, oh, I have a boyfriend. And then if that don't work, I just walk away. I think that's the main thing, is making it clear. Because I think if you let people think you're doubting, then they'll try to push it even harder. Yeah. So you kind of have to just make it seem like, even if we're fighting, I'm like, no, me and Makai are good. We're perfect. Like, what are you talking about? So I think that's
because it's none of their business.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
And that right there is key. And I've been guilty of it as well. You don't need, it's okay for your people to know certain little things or whatever. It's cute little girl talk you want to have. Mm-hmm. But there's some things that need to be between you and them. It's none of your business. It's nobody else's. And your real friends will understand that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like there's been plenty of conversations over the years where I'm talking about something and I may stop. Shay don't push me. She don't try to get anything out of me. What he say? What you do? Show me the text. She don't try to do nothing. You should say this. You should say that. She know when to shut the hell up and let me let that shit out. Because first of all, a lot of times in any relationship, you go to your people and you're venting, but you're expecting it kind of to go in one ear and out the other. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you have people that will want to, now they hate him too. So now you look stupid because now we back together kikiing and loving each other up, and now you looking crazy out here because you don't like my man. Now I got a problem with you. Why you don't like my man? Mm-hmm. So it becomes a whole chaos. So I agree with setting those boundaries. That's a good thing. What about you, Makai?
For me,
you in Atlanta,
it's a little different. Yeah, so it's a little different. Guys don't outwardly be like, oh, yada yada, whatever. But it'd be moments where it's more so like they put you in an environment. For me personally, I don't really care if I can be in that environment. For instance, I don't go to clubs, but I'll go to a bar. I can go to a bar and I'll be fine. If I'm going there with my boys one night, if y'all are single, y'all do you. The moment I see y'all doing your own thing, cool. I'm at the bar, I'm getting my own drink. I got my own vibe. I'm cool. Or I whip out the phone, start texting Kiki.
I was just about to say.
You acting like I'm clean, but you texting me right now when you out. Like you sending mixed signals, but that's what I do because that's what's comfortable to me. So people already know, like the first, we're on year 4 right now, but the first year and a half, especially for me being back here, it was like a little adjustment period for people to kind of realize I'm really not on that time. I'm chilling. I'm doing my thing, you know? And I even had a conversation with my homeboy the other night where he was like, yeah, like I'm trying, you're really faithful. And it's crazy because I be trying to be like, oh, do your thing, like whatever. But you really be stuck in it. And I'm like, yeah.
What homeboy was that?
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
It's the shaking of the kid for me.
I know. The one you about to go on vacation.
Who was he?
But honestly, it's you get to a point. For me personally, I feel like yes, you can control the people you're around, but more than likely the people you're around, they'll respect the person that you are. So kind of like, don't be around the people that are constantly going to try to like, oh, you need to do so and so, you should cheat, you should yada yada. Those are the people I want to be around. But like, if they're a real friend, they're gonna understand. Oh, okay, you're serious about this one, or okay, you're saying you don't want to do it. I respect that, and then that's that from there, because you can't force me to do anything. It's all on me. So
right. And shout out to your friends shout out to you for picking good friends, both of you. So I absolutely I absolutely love that because of both of their responses. They both recognize I'm in a situation. I made a conscious decision to be in this situation. And the thing that I got from that most was the set boundaries. Kiki said, you come to me more than once, then I just can't, because you just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times we tend to want to be people pleasers. And on one level or another, some people are extreme, some people are just, so you'll entertain some. I'm not really doing nothing, but I'll go ahead and just entertain you or whatever. But people won't even try to put you in that position if they know you're not with it in the first place. Then you don't have to worry about anything because you get to entertain, and next thing you know, you want somebody in the background of somebody's daggone IG live. Now you in trouble. What is we gonna do? What is we gonna do? So that's the love of two early 20-year-olds. A lot of the toxicity that we see comes from the younger generation. And there are a lot of teenagers out there that think that that's like their only option is to go and just be wild and just run these streets because ain't nobody my age looking for anything anyway. Blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, if you set your standards, your expectations, and you don't settle, you don't have to go through a lot of riffraff. They're proof. They didn't go through a lot of riffraff. They been going through riffraff. But it wasn't a lot because it's not necessarily going to be the first person you get. But, I always tell them, I pray they never break up. If they were to break up, whoever came behind them would have such a high bar. Whatever woman approaches Makai or Makai would have to have a certain, whatever man approaches, because they have set a bar, a standard. And it's a beautiful thing. We also had our co-host, Jay and Shannon were on, and they're such a loving, sweet couple. So because they're such a loving, sweet couple, I had to ask them about, when they're in not so good places. Maybe they got into a little spat, little argument, whatever. Like, how do they deal with that? Their biggest thing, the common thread throughout this whole thing has been communication. Kiki and Makai talked about it in different ways than the one that we just saw. They spoke about it in communicating with their friends to help them understand, their circle to help them understand what their standards are, what it is that they're, the expectations. If you're going to be my friend, this is what it is. Well, there are certain expectations that are set within marriages, I would assume, because we ain't even going to talk about it. But this is what Jay and Shannon had to say, a little clip.
And I think the communication part comes in is where I express exactly why I behave the way I behave, not just saying I'm sorry, right? And so I said I felt fight or flight, and I decided to flee, right? Because I didn't want to fight, and I'm sorry because that wasn't the move. Right. And she was like, "It's okay," and I was like, "No, it's not okay. Say you forgive me. Don't say it's okay."
You know how I feel.
And she kind of looked down a little bit, and then she was just like, "I forgive you." But it seemed like it was hard for her to say. I don't know. Maybe she could tell you why, but it seemed like it was hard for her. it seemed like it took a little effort to say, I don't know if she wasn't ready yet. That could have been the key. She could have been like, I'm not ready to forgive because you should have been acting. But that's just the evidence of like, I think for us, a lot of the reflection time that allows for the reflection time allows for the communication. Like, I think sometimes you can communicate at the wrong time and in the wrong way. And you have to be able to sit back and reflect like, okay, I'm going to go and I want to communicate, but I want to make sure when I communicate that it's effective and that I'm not shifting the blame and that I'm taking some sort of ownership. And once you're able to do that, then you can move forward with presenting your information. You know, I don't know if you've been in corporate, so you know, like you can't just open up PowerPoint and do the presentation during the presentation.
Oh no.
You can't work on your slides while you're presenting.
Right.
If you saw somebody doing that, you'd be like, yo,
yeah, hold on, just
okay? Right? You can't do that. So sometimes we go into, and we gotta remember, like, our communication with each other is a presentation. It represents who we are, what we're thinking, what is our goal, right? And what is our intent. And so if I go in there with none of those things established, what am I doing? Looking for an argument, because that's what arguments are. With no goals, none of those things are included. It's just like, primal. And so I think that is, for me, that's what allows us to have the communication. Both parts. I have to learn how to reflect, and I have to do it even if I believe that she's not going to be receptive to it or whatever, because it doesn't matter. It's the right thing to do, not because whether she accepts it or not. So.
I think, like, for me, as far as when those moments happen, just like using this morning, for instance, I internalize everything and I automatically say, okay, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Was I not enough in this area? You know, like I just kind of spiral and go down go into that loop. And so I was in there with my son this morning, and like, I'm like uber sensitive. Like I cry at the drop of a hat. And so I'm internalizing all of these things just based on the fact that, you know, I'm like, he's probably cranky. Like he didn't sleep. He probably just has an attitude because he's tired. Like that's probably the logical thing. And he's probably more heightened emotionally labile as a result of that. But so am I, because we're both tired. And so I'm sitting in there with my son, and I'm not telling him this, of course, but I'm just thinking all these things while I'm playing with him and everything. And trying to just reason it through and think about it. Like, what can I do to try to remedy this situation without lashing out, because I'm just so hurt by it. And literally comes in just out of the blue and says that. And I was like, it's okay. Like, and then it felt better. I felt better. It felt like, okay. And so when he was like, no, it's not okay, you should say, just say that you forgive me. It's not okay, or whatever the case may be. And I was like, okay, I forgive you, because I truly do. And literally, like that second, I was like, maybe that was all I needed to hear, just like why it happened, and that you're sorry. It says that you're willing to reason with me and kind of work with me through these things. And that's literally all it takes. I just need that security and that assurance sometimes. So it was that simple. There are times where, I act out of pure raw emotion. He always tells me my words cut. Cut with precision.
It's not easy. Anybody else could. It's tailored specific for your trigger point. Like it's tailored. Like somebody else can read it and they be like, I don't see what's so wrong with that.
Right, but
I know. Like that was subliminal, right? It was their intent to make me like,
and those things happen. I can't sit here and say, oh, it's so lovey-dovey and we're all perfect all the time. We definitely have moments where things are heated and I'm upset and he's upset, and I speak out of raw emotion. I just get it out there. I feel better for the time being. It's like, that burden, that anger, that tension is transferred. Like I got it off my chest. I'm good to go. But then, it come back around after thinking about it for some time, and just revisit and say, how would I feel if he did that to me, or how do I feel when that happens to me, kind of thing. and I pray about it, and I swallow my pride and go back and apologize. Sometimes you don't even feel it; you just do it because, and as you do it, and you start to feel it more. But it's the principle, and it's the right thing to do. It's the kind and loving thing to do. And again, like I said,
that is so important. On both sides, in my opinion. And that's why that's my favorite part of that conversation. If you haven't realized, I'm just putting out my favorite parts of the conversation. That's my favorite part of the conversation because it shows true communication. And sometimes communication comes in stepping away from the situation because you're communicating to the other person, I can't do this right now. And the other person receiving it and understanding, okay, let me not push this because this person may not be ready to speak. Especially when, it's high emotion, right? Jay took time. If you go to melanatedverses.com and watch the full interview, or UVV TV, don't forget the quotes. But yeah, so he took time. He said he had he was frustrated because they decided to spend quality time the night before, and he's so daggone responsible. He was thinking about what's gonna happen when the baby wakes up. We're gonna be tired. So he was in his feelings, and he said he went and started getting ready because she had asked to go out, and during that time is when he had time, instead of engaging right then in the frustration, in the attitude and all of that, instead of engaging at that point, he stepped away, occupied himself with something else, and gave himself time to realize this is not that serious, especially being that we had a good time. Like, what am I tripping over? And then, a lot of people don't know how to apologize. There are people who just all of a sudden start talking nice to you, and that's supposed to be the apology. You know what I'm saying? Or if I offended you type of thing. No, he went in and he took accountability for, how he was behaving. And on the other side, she didn't push. She didn't follow him around. You gotta talk to me right now. I couldn't even see Shannon doing that. But anyway, she gave him his time because she knew this is my key thing. This is some of the stuff that I've learned throughout that month and in my older years. When you know you didn't do anything wrong, well, I don't know about you. When I know I didn't do anything wrong, I'm going to move like everything is okay. If you want to sit over there with an attitude, you can sit over there with an attitude if you want to. But until you tell me that I did something, I don't know. There are some things that are just blatant. Yes, of course. We know what's going on. But if I really don't know what your problem is, I'm not chasing around to ask you. It's not happening. So with her, she sat back, but at the same time, she had her moment where she was feeling like maybe something's wrong with me. And guys, please understand that happens more often than you think, where our initial reaction, even if we mad, cocky, whatever, and we brush it off quick, there's usually at least a moment where we start to wonder, am I not enough? Am I doing something wrong? So take that into consideration as well. But she received it. And I think what's also important in this part is when Jay said to Shannon, it's not okay. You can say you forgive me, but it's not okay. And that's something that I've been living by for like the last year or two. To be honest with you, even when someone says, excuse me, you're excused. I'm not going to say it's okay. They say, thank you. If I didn't want to do it and I did it anyway, you're very much so not welcome. So I'll just be like, I do that with my mom all the time because she be asking me to do stuff I don't feel like doing. And she be like, thank you. I'll be like, all right then. But when, you know, someone apologizes and you say it's okay, even on a subconscious level, you're allowing them to believe that it's okay. So if it happens again, if I throw out a little apology, it's not a problem because it's okay. So that's part of communication as well. You know, communication, we saw Makai and Kiki in the early 20s. We saw Jay and Shannon in their mid 30s. Now we're going to talk about the dynamics, the communication between a big age gap. And no, if you haven't watched it, I'm going to let you know right now, it's not it's not he's older and she's no. In this situation, there's a 12-year age difference and the woman is the older one. I'm going to tell you, I personally know for me in my life, I've dated guys younger than me. I don't know why older guys don't seem to want me. It just be like that. But anyway, I found myself, to my last relationship, I didn't do it with the last one, but you know, up until the one before that, I found myself oftentimes raising dudes, not even on purpose, but because I'm older, I know better than you, so therefore you need to walk this way. As I got older, I realized that can drive people crazy. Hence, but it is what it is. But we're gonna talk to another Jay and Michelle. And up first, before we go to commercial, is gonna be Jay. And I really enjoyed what he had to say. Bars. Okay. Asking because of the age difference, how is how you are able,
12-year age difference, by the way.
12-year age difference. I only went 10. You know what's crazy? The last boyfriend that you know about, Michelle, and the one that came after, same birthday. Why? I don't know. Both of them 10 years apart, same exact birthday. This is what I
for
did.
You?
For me.
Your boyfriend?
My last two. 10
Yeah.
years apart. I mean, 10 years younger than me, and both of them had the same, down to the day they were born hours apart. It's craziness. But for your 12-year difference, so
right.
Okay, that puts it even clearer in my mind. How do you handle?
If you're gonna have us on, we're gonna keep it straight. And before I answer this question, let me make it clear to y'all in the audience. Although we were striving to not have any sexual intimacy before we got married, we did not reach that. We didn't reach that standard all the time. All right, so I wanted to make that real clear.
I ain't even mad at it.
So it was more than a couple.
Okay. We restarted a couple of times.
More than a couple, but I just wanted to make that real clear to the audience.
Just the last time, for real. Just get married.
But that is what we were aiming for. Yes.
So, but yeah, how do you handle being younger and leading? How do you do that?
Well, first of all, I want to make it clear that Butterfly, she sets an atmosphere that helps me to lead in this dynamic. Mm-hmm. And by that I mean she chooses to also learn how to play a role that she's not used to. As you mentioned earlier, with her being a strong woman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, she's not used to actually allowing a man to lead. You've been single for what, over a decade, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you know, you get set in certain patterns in certain ways. So she's actually learning how to allow me to lead, and she sets an atmosphere by being supportive, by asking me my input, by receiving my input and my view and my vision with different things. So first of all, that atmosphere is key, because if she was not as open as she is to receiving what I have to give and what I'm bringing to the table, this journey would be extremely difficult. And I may not even be sitting here right now with you on this podcast. Because guess what? There will be no need for me to be
right. I got it.
But in addition to there being an age difference, there is also the dynamic of Michelle having 3 sons, as you mentioned earlier. And I don't have any biological children. So in this space, here I am embracing the responsibility and privilege of being a father figure, a stepfather, with no parental experience under my belt. So rather than growing into it, you know, how you build that bond over time from the baby to the teen, etc. It's like, wow, I didn't have any time to build no bond. It's like, boom, here it is. Nevertheless, I would say that has been the greatest challenge for me, is skipping elementary school and just saying, all right, here we are. Give me the textbooks. I'm gonna learn what I need to learn, and we're just gonna move day by day and learn how to master it. So what I've been learning, all in all, you mentioned about me leading in this relationship. She makes it easy, because even as a mother, she does not sit back and say, well, those are my children, so they come to me with their issues, and if you got something to say, it needs to be cleared through me first. When I tell y'all she sets an atmosphere and how big of a difference this makes. Once upon a time, one of her children asked her for something, and she said to him, she said, okay, let me have a conversation with Jay about it first, and then I'll get back to you and let you know what we're gonna do. I mean, she could have easily just chose to, you know what I mean? This is my flesh and blood. My flesh and blood has a need. I'm going to provide for them. Boom, there it is. But she chose to include me in that decision-making process, which again helps set an atmosphere. She put me in a position of saying, hey, I trust you. And when a woman makes it clear that she trusts you, it changes everything in regards to how you lead and whether or not you choose to embrace the challenge of leading. So yeah, she's part of my fuel. The other part of it is God Almighty. And as far as that goes, she just lets me know, Jay, I trust you. And that helps me day in and day out to continue to rise to the standard, because she has a standard of excellence about her. And every day I'm challenging myself in some way or another to step my game up, to learn more, to grow more, to advance more. Because ultimately years don't equal experience. You know, you got 50-year-old boys out here. So that helped me understand that it's more important for me to live with an open heart. Open heart is able to be taught, is able to be trained, versus a closed heart. But again, I have to just emphasize that she helps set that atmosphere for me to embrace that role of leadership.
I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna go ahead and let us go to commercial. And on the other side, we gonna see Michelle.
She thought walking away was hard to do, until walking away led to truth. Discovering a peace that was hovering, but never before allowed to enter her soul. She thought she'd grow old and even cold. If life continued on the trajectory it was headed, complacency seemed inevitable. Until she took a look at herself and said, I'm betting on you. Exploring new worlds and new views, different energies and attitudes. Allowing her heart to be open, it became consumed by what could be described as a fantasy. Far from tragedy, no. A dream that if told in a story would seem too good to be true. Taking the form of perfection, physical frequencies felt through erections, emotional energies flowing like oceans. Ocean brings forth life anew, birthing art inspired by Mahogany's muse.
"30 is only a dream away, and Jess Copeland can feel it. Her unexpected journeys are filled with unpredictable obstacles, but she finds escape in her poetry. However, each rhyme she creates reveals that her life's path is still unwritten. Rather than face the unknown in fear, just cherishes a sense of peace in knowing every day she's given a blank page to fill with lines of her destiny, however colorfully chaotic it may be.
Usually I put a little something else right there, but we're going to catch no passes at the end of this episode because I want to move on because it's like, this was good. They're going Jay and Michelle, boy. Ooh. So Jay said all of that good stuff, and let's go ahead and listen to what Michelle had to say on her side.
Causing bigger problems. So how do you humble yourself to allow yourself to be open, to allow this younger man to be the man of the house?
Mm-hmm. Well, Stephanie, one of the first things I learned very early after my divorce is that I am not a fixer. I am nobody's savior. It because it leads you into situations where you find people that need fixing. Okay. And when Jay and I met, I was already in that place. I am not a fixer. I am not a savior. Therefore, I'm not looking for anybody to fix or save. And his maturity is what allowed me to actually just stay in a place of observation. And what I observed is a man, just like he said about me, that sure of himself. He was certain and sure of himself. And he was working on himself. I didn't meet somebody who was still trying to, run the streets.
Mm-hmm.
He was sure of who he was. He's a man of God. And he had a path before him. He knew where he was going, knew what he wanted to do. And so it really allowed me to just take a step back so that I can actually observe.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's something I used to pray about. I prayed about it quite a bit because I realized, like I told you before, this strong woman thing is just not. It doesn't work in a relationship with a man. It's like mano hermano. No, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? So for me, it was really from a place of observation that I grew to respect his perspective, that I grew to respect his spirituality, that I grew to respect his direction, his values, and just observing him as a person, he helped me to relax. He helped me to feel good. This is not this. Listen, it was more like, sister girl, I don't need you either.
It's way more beautiful when you're wanted.
So he wasn't a needy man. He didn't need me to help him be a man. So
come on now. We got hope, girl. We just gotta take notes. We just gotta take notes, girl. We good. We gonna be good.
So it was he say I make it easy, but the truth is he's made it super easy for me, because before I was generally a person like, what you don't got what?
Right.
But he was so on his game. And let me tell you guys something, because I know a lot of times it comes down to financial security. And it comes down to this man. I broke down. My car went out of service. We weren't engaged. We weren't even in a place where we were even talking marriage yet. And it's like half the money, bam, this is to go towards your car. He was willing to put his money where his mouth was. And he did that over and over and over again. And I could sit back and say, okay, I've been doing this for so long, so therefore I have opportunities to make more money and all this kind of stuff. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. For him, it was like, this is my responsibility. And my gosh, I tell you something. He won me over with that, like, I mean, a lot, because I was like, wow, he doesn't like need me. Like he's not relying on me to handle the business.
Right.
He's in the business without me even thinking or asking. And so it's like, I didn't even have to ask for it.
And that's even more beautiful. That's even more beautiful.
Yeah. And I think those experiences build trust. Those experiences allow me to put down my guards.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I'm aiming and striving to get to, sis. Because
take notes, girl. I will share notes. Well, first, let me make this very clear, abundantly clear. Michelle was financially perfectly fine on her own. It wasn't him doing that wasn't a thing of, oh, I couldn't afford it. She would have been able to take care of what it is. It's the effort. It's the thought. It's the not having to ask. Both sides of that was so beautiful. And of course it hit me because, like I said, older dudes don't ever want me. Oh, but him being big enough to humble himself enough to allow her to allow him to lead. If you ain't catch that, rewind it. Okay. On the other end, her knowing I have 12 years on you, bro. But her being humble enough to let him know it's okay to leave. I'm cool with this. I don't know how many times I've said on this show, on my dad's show, the things that I've learned how to do over the years is not because I want to do it. It's because it's necessity. But I am capable. I'm perfectly capable. I put every piece of furniture together in this house. I now, with the help of Jay and YouTube, I be doing stuff with my car. I figure it out. I take out all my trash. But guess what? There's a man here, and he just takes out my trash without me having to ask. Or he just puts together this new piece that I got without me having to ask. Or he just takes my car and he either fix it or he takes it to get fixed. It's good things, good things. On the other side, well, in addition to, Michelle has standards. I knew Michelle when she was married the first time. I knew Michelle while she was single. I know Michelle now. And she has standards. She's one of the kindest people you'll ever meet. If she has it and you need it and she can give it, she gonna give it. You know what I'm saying? That's who she is. She still has standards. That's just what it is. She's not to be walked over. She's not to be trifled with. Him being man enough to not be intimidated by that is beautiful. Because as you can see in those clips, when she speaks with authority. But when he's speaking, she sits back and so the whole submissive thing, I don't know what y'all painting it out to be, but that right there to me is a perfect example. You know, just simply, okay, you go first, babe. There you go. Having the floor. You know what I'm saying? But then when you speak with authority. And I think that that's beautiful. And something that everyone could learn from. So the following week, we had Maven's parents. That's their names. Because they have the cutest little boy. He's so sweet. What was real beautiful about this conversation, well, I'm going to play it, but it's just so dope how they're first-time parents. They are first-time parents. We have this whole idea that, especially in the Black community, no one ever gets married first. No one ever does. Nah. Yeah, there's a few of us out here, but there are plenty that waited
him and her. I'm not talking about waiting in terms of virginity. I'm talking, well, there's those two, but I'm just talking in terms of having a child. And this story right here is pretty dope. So let's go ahead and listen to Maven's parents.
Oh my goodness.
So after y'all get married and all that good stuff, time passes by, and then you end up making a creation, a lovely creation. Okay, a lovely, lovely, lovely creation. Tell me what it was like when you found out you were pregnant, and when y'all found out you were pregnant. I'll say it like that. How did that feel?
I gamble heavy. I got a problem. I went and got books because I gamble heavy. She went and bought some scratch-off tickets. So I'm standing there, I'm scratching them off. I get to the last ticket. I'm like, where the fuck is this ticket from? I'm looking at it, I'm like, shit don't got no state on it. Like, if I win, where the fuck I cash this shit out? You know what I mean? I'm a gambler. I'm a gambler.
Scratch it off, and the winner is
right.
And
I'm a gambler. I'm like, what?
Looking at that ticket.
What is this shit?
This don't have this mark on it. Don't have that mark.
Like, what app do I use just to check this month? Like,
scratch the ticket.
Scratch the ticket.
Like, you supposed to win money on a ticket, not a ticket tell you for 18 years.
You gonna lose money.
You gonna lose money.
And I knew it. Because I feel like I know him so well. I knew in my spirit, I was like, he's not gonna be fooled by this. But it really did look real. That's like, don't tell me he's not gonna be fooled by this, but I was still hopeful. But nah.
So I read it, and I was, you know what I mean? I was excited. And she had the box. I had just bought a pair of Jordans. She had a box that had the little baby Jordans in there. It had the little, the Dallas Cowboy stuff for them. It had the baby shark dad joint and all of that. So I'm excited. So like the whole weekend, I wouldn't let her do nothing. That lasted till Monday because I was like, listen, even pregnant people got to move. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? I was like, what's that song? The thrill is gone, baby. It was over by Monday. It was like, all right, you still a human. You're going to have to get up.
No more bed rest for you.
No more bed rest for you. Get you tonight. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I was excited. And for me, unlike most of my male friends or men that I know, that was the first time I had ever heard those words from a woman.
So you haven't even had to
under my belt. I ain't got no punched in the gut, and I ain't got no hit potholes that made it go away.
No maybe baby.
I don't know any of that. So I've known nothing of that. So for me, it was special because it was the first time that I had ever heard it, and it was with my wife. And I want to build the family and do the things that we do with her. And as you can see, if you follow us or move around us, what we do with Maven. I remember being on stage when I first said it out, when I was able to say it out loud, when we were past, what was it, the second trimester or, whatever, so that I could actually voice it. Yeah. Oh my goodness, it felt so good. Yeah, it felt so good just to be able to say it. You know what I mean? Telling our parents on Thanksgiving was fun. My daddy thought we just gave him a piece of artwork. It was the sonogram. I'm like, who gives you a pice of artwork this big? Like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, I said, you need some wall. So yeah, that was fun. Just the excitement from people and everything like that. That was amazing. The support, both baby showers here in Philly and one in Texas. That was fun. A lot of work.
People really loved and supported. Like Maven is loved, like by friends, family.
Maven bagged a 40-year-old Caucasian woman who drove a Bentley when he was like 4 weeks old. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie, I high-fived him. I was like, she got son. You winning, son.
Early.
You know what I mean? You know she got AAA, son. You know what I'm saying? She good. We was at the Whole Foods and they just staring him down. I'm like, get away from him. COVID still exists. But you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just been fun. Love him, love his smile, love his lift.
It's special because we're talking about marriage and like going through this within a marriage, and people do things a lot of different ways. I can say for me, it was very important for me to be married because, and I think of it even more so after being pregnant from the, female point of view. You go through things during that is very intimate in terms of pregnancy. It's very intimate. I just can't imagine anyone else being that, partner in that journey with me, because you just see so much. Like there's no pretense.
I was Dr.
There's
Humphrey.
no, for a while you're like, no, I'm a lady, I'm a child. But at a point you're just like, look, this is what it is.
This is what it is, right?
This is how I feel. This is what it looks like. Like it's everything.
Man,
and I just can't imagine.
By that third trimester, it sounded like Iraq in our bedroom, because it was between me farting and her farting. It was crazy in that joke. Like, I mean, I ain't never seen her lift her leg like that. It was like, Jane Fonda, like,
at some point you just don't care. And
you don't.
It wouldn't have been the same if I didn't feel that connection with him. At least for me, I have to feel that in order to feel comfort, because it's not pretty.
The two of them are so fun. Hershana and cousin Paul, he's a comedian. FYI, go look him up. Maven's parents, like I said. But I love their story because they took time with each other. They started their relationship long distance, so they had no choice but to get to know each other. The physical couldn't really be a thing because they so far away. So they got to know each other. They fell in love. And you heard my favorite part? He said that was the first time he had even heard those words. Okay? That had to be dope. You didn't have any scares before. You get to enjoy this moment for the beauty that it is. And everybody doesn't get that. And I think that that's super dope with the two of them. And it's also showing that, there's no one path to love. There is no one path. There's everyone. There were consistent things throughout these conversations when it came to communication, when it came to, you see all of them have a friendship. There's a little joke, laughter, whatever within all of these, as different as they may be. I got my cussing friends. I got my Bible thumping friends. I got, all of that. But their love is just equally beautiful to me. All of them. The last set that we had on here, Sharon and Joel. Sharon and Joel have been together for 18 years. And Sharon's my oldest friend. Oldest in terms of longest. We met when I was about 9, something like that. And she's a year older than me. And I've seen her in her ups and downs and everything. And she's gone through some real crazy things, especially, the last couple years. If you look at the episode, you'll see she fought breast cancer and she came out on the winning side. You know what I'm saying? And that's real dope. But she had that great support system in this man. And their love has grown. I've watched their love grow into what it is now. And even the way they sit here, they've been together for 18 years when you see this, just the way they. But I asked them what's the key for, single folk like me. Bars, I'm just hot today. What's the key for? Never mind. So let's go ahead and hear what they had to say. Listen. Just bear with them. Here we go. I thank you for being raw, and because people got to hear the sweet, because they've heard the Jesus people.
Oh Lord,
they've heard the young people, they've heard the Jesus people, they've heard the in between, and then they've heard you. So they've heard the whole spectrum.
You need to follow what I'm saying. Cut a nigga. Let him know.
Or
don't just cut him. You gotta let him know what's gonna happen. It's like when you tell a kid, because men are
like children, you gotta let them know. If you don't do this, I'm gonna bust your ass.
So there are options, right? So you can do that. You can pray about it. Y'all go to church together.
You can't pray to Jesus how to cut a nigga.
Just don't give your all in one
saying
shot.
to pray about.
Right? Do not give your all in one shot. You got to spread that shit out so you don't get cut.
Who? The nigga?
The nigga, the female, whoever.
Everybody. Because this is a whole other episode. But I am a believer in dating. When we first meet, I'm not finna cut everybody off. I used to do that dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
When we first meet, all of a sudden you say Grand Rising a couple times and I done cut everybody off because you're the one. So I'm not about to do that junk no more. So I get it in terms of, and then if we get to that point, then we can have a conversation about what it is. Like, if you ain't figured out, first of all, if you ain't figured out what I want by now, then maybe we don't need to have that conversation. Because if we talk long enough, I'm feeling like, but we can have a clarity conversation.
Make sure you read between the lines.
Oh, see, that's
because if a nigga keep talking about, yeah, I'm gonna come see you, and never shows up, guaranteed that nigga got a wife and a couple of kids at home.
These are facts. I've never slept with a married man, just so y'all know, because I know I'll be talking some wild shit.
So you threw shots?
Huh? No, I wasn't. Oh, Lord. I bet you think as long as about you. I was not talking about you.
Side chick.
I just be saying I be on some wild, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say I ain't never
like,
do
seriously, no, I ain't never slept with no married man neither.
You messed with a separated.
I didn't consider myself to be married. We was already basically in 2 different homes and everything else, so I didn't consider myself married.
See, there you go, boom. But we don't have to go before this goes any further, and then I don't know. So I thank you guys for coming on. You guys are awesome.
The two of them are just funny. Now, listen, I could only put that little clip this time because I don't want to catch y'all off guard with some of the wild stuff that they say. But the essence of it, when Sharon said, cut a nigga, she's basically, well, she kind of means it, but what she's basically saying is don't tolerate nothing. Let people know what you want when you get into the situation. Let them know off rip what you want. As Joel says, you don't give your all to the first person that says, hey, good morning, Grand Rising, you're beautiful, whatever the case may be. You got to be out here and you got to communicate. You got to listen to what's being said to you. Look at the actions that's happening and understand, where your place is. Get clarity. That's, I think, is like one of the biggest lessons after the communication lesson is. Well, it's part of the communication lesson. Get clarity, get understanding. I learned a lot from these. I learned from Makai and Kiki about setting strong boundaries with your friends, what to allow them to know and what not to allow them to know when it comes to your relationship, because at the end of the day, it's your relationship. Kiki said, even when we fighting, nah, we good, we perfect. You know what I'm saying? Because it's none of anybody's business what's going on. I learned from Jay and Shannon the importance of giving time so that when you do come back and apologize, or even when you do come back to accept an apology, that you're clear about what you're apologizing for, what you're accepting, that you have that communication to understand. Because sometimes we say, I apologize or I'm sorry, just to diffuse the situation. But when you come back, when you have time to think about it and you come back and you're able to say, listen, this is exactly what it is. And it's worth you forgiving. Some things you can forgive and walk away, but but if it's worth you forgiving and staying, then you make sure you communicate correctly with them that I forgive you. Not it's okay, but I forgive you, because it's okay gives them license to do it again. With Michelle and Jay, the other Jay, I learned about how to
determine what your roles are going to be in your relationship and being comfortable and walking in those roles. Everyone's roles are not going to be the same. There are alpha women out here that, you know, prefer a man that's just going to let them, and that's fine. If that works for them, that's fine. There's the opposite. That's fine. Whatever their dynamic is, respecting your role in that dynamic. For them specifically, as strong as Michelle is, she wants to submit. She wants to have someone to lead, right? For her to follow as the leader. And on his side, he's providing something to follow. Because a lot of times people want to be, I'm the head, I'm the leader, rah, 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 rah. And they ain't doing nothing. They sitting around the house playing video games all day. What are you leading me to? Unless it's a tournament for these games where we about to make that cash, I don't know what you're leading me to. So it's understanding your roles, accepting what roles work for your relationship, and then being comfortable and allowing both sides to play their roles the way that they need to play them. I think that that's super dope. Who was next? Maven's parents. They show me fun. If you go and you follow them on social media, you see that they take time to enjoy each other, to enjoy their beautiful son, to enjoy life. Life is too short. And they have problems just like everyone else in this world. There are things that happen all around them and so on and so forth. But they make the time for what's important. And for what's important for them is family. That's what's most important to them. So they make that time. They create memories. They create so many memories, and it's beautiful to see. And it also shows that it's possible for you to have your standards, stick to them, and wait until you get that person that you want to be with. They're both in their mid to late 30s, and they haven't been married super long, but they waited till they found their person because that's what was most important. And then look at how beautiful that turned out. And of course, Sharon and Joe. Again, I couldn't give you the big clips. It's just a little too much for this specific episode. But go and watch and see what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, they're big on, once again, communication. Sharon is big on, this is what I want. And if you can handle it, cool, let's move forward. If you can't, it's cool. One thing she said in the episode, if I had thought about it, I would have put that in there too. One thing she said in the episode was, the person for you can't get to you if this other person is in the way. So be careful with who you have in your space, because you might have someone in your space that is blocking the person that should be there because you just is lingering. You know what I'm saying? So be mindful of that. And real quick, a couple people have some things going on. Makai has started his photography and visuals. So King Kai Visuals, please go find him and follow him. I know it's I ain't going to go look at the episode with him. At the end, he tell you what his stuff is. Period. Michelle and Jay, they have a podcast called Courage and Butterfly. They're working on that. It's in the works. So please keep an eye out for that, because they have beautiful stories to tell, and they too enjoy life like all of these couples do. That's so dope. Man, I'm gonna find somebody I can enjoy life with. I'll be going out by my. Anyway, I digress. And then Cousin Paul, Maven's dad, Cousin Paul, blessed period. Okay, go find him. He has dope clothes. You saw on most of those episodes, I had on his jacket or shirt or something. There's always something going on. So please go and find these people. Go watch these episodes in full. If you got a little something from this, go watch these episodes full. so that you can get the full story of what they're talking about, the full conversation. Hopefully you learned something. If you have something you want to add, please feel free to email us. You can go to melanatedverses.com and email, or you can email me at melanatedverses@gmail.com. You can follow me, Just a Verse, everywhere, and all that good stuff. So I usually have something extra, little note, little thought, little, just a thought, no passes, whatever. In honor of Sharon and Joel constantly saying nigga throughout. We're going to end it with no passes. I will see you guys next week, where we will be having lyrics and poetry. It's going to be pretty dope, so tune in.
Wow. Do you rap? Can I touch her hair overnight? So well. Privilege. I love it. Can I touch her hair? So well. All I matter.
People were saying nigga before Trinidad James was born. And to sit here and say that the N-word has become divisive is absurd. The N-word is born out of slavery, it's born out of white supremacy.
I'm agreeing with you.
No, you're not. Listen, just
Why
listen
would
for
we
a minute.
keep the word alive?
Just listen for this is the problem. When we start talking about issues around race and racism, sometimes white people need to just listen. Just hear what I'm saying for a minute, Ben. What I'm saying is that the N-word isn't divisive. White supremacy is divisive. Slavery was divisive. That's the problem. And maybe, just maybe, it's not white people's position to tell black people what to say. I might see Trinidad James on the street and call him my nigga. You know why? Because he is my nigga. And the difference between Trinidad James and you is that Trinidad James has to deal with the same oppressive situations. He's born into a world where anti-black racism prevails. He lives in a world where police still might shoot him on the street no matter how much money he has. We share a collective condition known as nigga. White people don't. I'm not saying it should be illegal for white people to use it. I'm saying y'all shouldn't want to use it given everything that's happened after 400 years of exploitation and institutional racism.
Ben.
White people.
Remember, you can find It's Just a Conversations and so much more at melanatedverses.com. Also, follow me on social media platforms at Melanated Verses.
This is just a conversation. Don't gotta do no more than observation. Tell enough to be patient, but we won't take it. We will not be complacent. We can moderate fast. That's part of history being all our innovation. We just having conversation. We're about to do no more than observation. This is just a conversation.